Hey, it's Les from the TV Dudes. This week, I'm thrilled to chat with the folks behind the comedy short film Speech and Debate, which screened at ATX Television Fest Season 10. Green Arrow himself, Stephen Amell, shows off his comedy chops as an obsessive high school debate coach up against an equally dedicated rival, played by the hilarious Aisha Tyler. The whole thing was written by Kamen Edwards and directed by Cassandra Amell, and they were all nice enough to sit down for a call about the project. It's a fun interview about a funny series of episodes, and I'd encourage everyone to go find them online. Hope you enjoy.
So, I mean, obviously, you're known as the comedic center of Arrow. When I think of that show, Ollie always had the weight of the world just kind of on him, or family expectations, and not that Gil Watercress doesn't have family expectations on him in the legacy of this. But the comedy of it is so much more Christopher Guest and wonderful. Can you talk a little bit, Stephen, about getting to find that humor and find that tone and do it under the direction of your partner?
Well, first of all, I really like being directed by Cassandra. She's really good at it, and I think has a very, very bright future. But the thing that I think about most, and it's funny that you should mention, hi, Ms. Aisha.
Hi there.
We're talking about the first speech and debate right now. The most fun part for me, when you reference Oliver, was that we shot it on the sound stages for Arrow, and we did it with the Arrow crew, and so they all got to see me be funny like 4 days before we wrapped the script.
You were finally funny.
I'm like, where's this guy been on Arrow? Come on.
And here's
It wasn't written that way.
it was not written that way. No.
It
Was really fun getting to see the whole Arrow crew laugh. And we had a couple of takes where I had to remind everybody that we were in fact filming, to knock off the laughing before the take was over. I think they were just so used to seeing him in a brooding state that they didn't get to see.
The show was broody in Stephen's defense because he's working through
of course.
that comment. But that was a very dark show. And I actually remember it. I don't know any of those people. I don't really know the crew of that show. And they all remarked on what a fun shoot it was, how enjoyable it was, how they were laughing the entire time. And it was like kind of transformational because it was at the very end. They really got to have a good time, which was nice because they were all working the weekend for free.
They did. We asked for a lot of favors.
Yeah. Kamen, when you were writing this, I mean, I know you did speech and debate when you were a kid. Were you all competitive academic theater kids in your various stuff?
I mean, I didn't do anything but that. Like, I just did speech and debate on the weekends and the plays. Like, that's all my life revolved around in junior high and high school. So this is very much my world. I know these people very, very well.
And Cassandra, you grew up in Houston, is that right?
You know, Kamen and I actually grew up one high school over from each other. We were in neighboring high schools. We didn't know each other until we moved to Los Angeles. But we were neighbors back in Houston, and I did the whole speech and debate circuit as well, the competitive speech and debate tournaments and all of that stuff. So I feel like we both were very familiar with that world.
Yeah. When you were writing it for humor now, were there things you were mindful of, lines you didn't want to cross in terms of getting the tone across without this just being like a really painful childhood memoir of crazy adults?
No, I mean, I love doing speech and debate tournaments, and I have no negative thoughts about them whatsoever. There was one coach that this is kind of all based on. I didn't even know him that well. He was from another school, but I overheard him tell my coach that he sold his home so that he could buy
all of the remaining, there's these little slicks that you would have to use for prose and poetry. And the company was going out of business. And he really liked this one type of slick. And he sold his home so that he could buy their remainder supply. I was like, oh, I'm a teenager, but I know this is not good behavior for an adult.
I think that the teachers definitely took it more seriously than the kids. That's what I have nothing but good memories. I even forgot a line once during a play, and it was my first play ever. And I was about to say it, and then somebody jumped in with another line, and the teacher lost it on me. And I was like, this is 6th grade. This is not really that big of a deal. And she was like, we are going to kick you out. You have no business in this industry, basically. So it was kind of funny. But she said, I just remember at the time thinking, this is way too serious for a lunchtime play. Way too serious.
I just hope one day that I love something half as much as these people loved beating 16-year-old kids in like 10-minute skits. I
mean, that's obviously who my character was based on. Was that terrible teacher who like berated you at 12 over like going up on a line? That's obviously based on. Yeah, totally.
I mean, the absolute funniest line for me in the first one, just the speech and debate one, is I think Kamen, I think is your line, where it just looks at the camera and says, well, I mean, that's what it's really all about, the kids. And we see a kid walk by with a trophy that I don't think we've seen that child the whole video. Like, he could be standing it for another school. No idea who that kid is. And there's just kind of the winner. Yeah.
Yeah. And nor do we care his name.
It's my absolute favorite. Was there a moment for each of you when you read the script and really connected to it, or really went, okay, all right, this is great. We're definitely going to call in favors and get people in on a weekend for this.
Kamen have been working on this, like Kamen and Cass had been talking about the project for a while, and I feel like Kamen, you wrote it a long time ago. You guys have been developing it for a while. Mm-hmm. And Steven and I came into it, obviously we were the cabooses, but I also think that, fortunately or unfortunately for Cass and Kamen, that dynamic is actually Steven's my natural life dynamic. So we kind of were able to lean into that repartee pretty quickly. I think they were like, you guys are pretty shitty to each other. And do it on camera in a very effective way. We're good friends and we have competitive friendship. So I think we were excited to leverage that for the film because we have a little bit of a moonlighting vibe.
But it was very helpful.
Without just platonic moonlighting vibe, yeah.
It was very helpful having Kamen there too, just because Aisha and I would start to yell at each other. But it was nice to have him there when we got like just a teensy bit too far off script, just so you could direct us. When we did the second one, I just feel like you and I were just screaming at each other in the park. And then everyone, and then we were like, "Are we rolling?" Or
I definitely got a few off script "were we rolling" moments in the second one. I leaned over to the DP and I said, "Just don't cut it, and just let it roll." And so we got to play with that dynamic a bunch. It was originally a feature that Kamen had written, and I just thought, well, I feel like this works really well as a shorter format because all we have to do is see glimpses into this world. It's actually kind of funnier if it's not a traditional arc of beginning, middle, end, and here's what this is happening. It's funnier if we just drop in, see what they're doing, and just go, how the heck did these people get here? What are they up to? They're insane.
You can believe that we know that these people exist, and you can believe that like they've been doing this forever. They're going to continue to do this forever. Like this rivalry will never die. And these people who are so petty will continue to harry their nemesis for the rest of their adult lives, which I think is kind of more enjoyable than the movie resolving. You're like, oh yeah, they're still slap fighting. They're still slap fighting over the last can of like Chef Boyardee at the supermarket. You know what I mean? Like they're down at the Wawa fighting over popsicles.
Yeah, I know that if even now I went back to my high school, there's going to be like one of my teachers that is still there, just hanging on and super intense about the band program or whatever. I'm sure of it. Do you have? I know we just talked earlier about wishing that you cared about anything enough to mortgage your house against it. Do you ever find yourself as adults now almost going full watercress on stuff and having a moment of like, nope, this is a child soccer game. I should chill.
I mean, the amount of money I've spent on Britney Spears merch is bordering on.
Well, I think I don't know. I don't think that you've gone full crazy, but I feel like sometimes when you have helped Maddie with her musical theater, you get pretty pretty like, I know you can, like, come on, we're going to do it again. I know that we could do a bit more with this.
Yeah. Our daughter refuses to look at the camera sometimes.
Yeah.
And I try my very, very best not to freak out because she's really excellent, but I'll just go, hey, do the take again, but do not put your hair behind your ears like this. And please look at the camera. And she'll go, I totally get it. And then we'll start the take and she'll go and look away. And I'll be like, ah!
I think if anything, like the thing that you can do.
Strangely, that's the direction that Cass gave Steven on this series.
Yeah.
I think that like the most specific thing, maybe the closest that you would get is Steven is very specific about where he likes things put. Like he calls it feng shui, but it is far from traditional feng shui. He just puts things like he'll hang my purse on a lamp. Or he just puts things in weird places and, he'll walk into a room and just say, why would someone put this here? And it's like, well, it's a cup and it's on a table. And he's like, but not this table.
This is being recorded. Right?
I feel like this is pretty public information. He's just very specific with where things go. That's the closest I've seen him to like gilling out on anything. Yeah.
That's great. My stepbrother is very particular about his home, and so tipping a picture just slightly off was a running game for a long time. But we discovered one Christmas that we'd all been doing it. That like 5 people had been doing this to him for years, and so now we kind of.
And then he was just like in a sweaty, like a birthday ball in the garage.
Yeah, you guys visit him on Christmas at a mental institution.
Yes, shaking in the corner, and everyone's like, "Wait, you did it too? That's crazy."
Oops. Okay, we'll stop. In terms of where you want this to go, and where you, I mean, I know y'all took it to Holly Shorts. I watched on YouTube or finding it through Steven's Instagram or Twitter. In terms of more of these, where do you want these to go?
Well, I think that we did the first one and we didn't necessarily have an intention of doing more of it. And then the pandemic happened. And, we work in this industry where it's all creatives and people were just really, really hungry to do something creatively and artistically. And so you've got all of these artists and creatives that are on full, just can't get on a set. And so we just said, instead of trying to fight this pandemic, let's work within it and let's see what these characters would be up to during the pandemic. And I kind of just reached out to a bunch of crew and said, hey, does anybody want to make something fun? And immediately everybody said, yes, I'm in, let's go. And we had to take a bunch of precautions, obviously. And we had to do a smaller crew than we did with the first one. And it was a skeleton crew. But everybody, I think the most rewarding thing from it was just everybody was so pumped to be there and to be making something fun and funny and escaping from, what was a really stressful couple of months for everybody.
And I think that what was exciting about this was, the scripts were great and the concepts were great, but we also really got to play. And that was really what was enjoyable about this. So really smart people who are naturally funny, and we all just got to have a good time with each other. And I think there was like a lot of raw creation that happened inside the context of this idea. And it kind of has legs because these were vignettes, right? I mean, these people have rage issues they haven't resolved. They've got, childhood trauma they're clearly not looking at closely. And you can envision like 100 scenarios where these people would be both kind of, and one of the reasons why they're struggling so much is because they recognize themselves in each other. Mm-hmm. So it is the kind of thing that could have long legs because, they're in their extreme, their ridiculousness is extreme, but they're also very human. These people were kind of in a small town trying to be big fish in a very tiny pond, and really not stymied by their enemy, but stymied by their own inability to kind of see themselves or the world around them clearly. So, so fixated on winning that, they cut off their own nose to spite their face. So they were really fun to play. But the best part of this was just getting to play with each other and really getting to have a good time.
I also think both of them are not vaccinated.
Absolutely not.
Both of them for opposite reasons. But
opposite reasons.
Completely different reasons. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. But they've got a really well prepared speech about why.
Oh, please. Yeah. TED Talk.
The diction's perfect. Yeah.
You don't have to ask to hear it. They'll just tell you.
Yeah, I have a pitch. I have a pitch for why Aisha's character's not vaccinated. She's secretly Canadian.
that I don't know what you're talking about.
Thank you all so much for making time today for this. I really appreciate it.
Sure. Yeah.
And of course, Kamen, you've got a children's book out, Dylan St. Clair, which folks can go get now. Bookshop.org. If they want to support local bookstores, they can also hit up Amazon. That's everywhere.
Yeah, it's about a little gay boy. It's perfect for Pride Month.
I was about to say, it's Pride. Everybody should go get a copy.
Thank you.
Kirsten Banksmith has a podcast, and we read the book on the podcast. So if people want to go have an audiobook accompaniment, she and I read the book on Kirsten Banksmith's podcast. Yeah. Enjoy that. Yeah.
Thank you all so much. Have a wonderful rest of your day. I really appreciate it. TV Dudes is an independently run podcast out of Austin, Texas. We are exclusively listener-supported. If you'd like to help us out, go to patreon.com/TVDudes.
You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at TV Dudes. All the music for our show is done by our friend and original TV Dude, Gregory J. Amani Smith.
To find out more about us, go to thetvdudes.com. I'm Randy Lander.
I'm Les Weiler.
And I'm Kyle Scott.
Thanks for listening.